the Oman Desert Marathon. 165 kilometers of unforgiving, sandy desert terrain spread across 5 days. And you've got to carry everything with you. 5 days worth of food and running fuel, a first aid kit, and your sleeping bag at minimum. Schlepping across Bedouin lands underneath the burning sun like an ant trying to escape the sadistic gaze of a sociopathic bully with a magnifying glass. And it all starts here. Shortly after signing myself up for this thing, I jumped on a call with Hamdan Al-Khatri, an Omani ultra runner who's run around all over Europe and the Arabian Peninsula, including the Oman Desert Marathon. I asked him for some tips on how an urban flatlander such as myself can prepare for this sandy odyssey. I've never done a desert marathon. I've never done a stage race like the Oman Desert Marathon. So I'm curious if you could share, what were the highs and lows for you during the race?
The marathon is not too hard, but what your training mileage. So this depends on your mileage in training. So if you have low training mileage, will be a little bit difficult for you. But if you like 100 kilometer per the week, it will be okay.
Okay, I'm working up to that. Right now I'm at so I just did an ultra marathon in Japan in early November, and I think leading up to that I was doing about I did 80 kilometers in a week. And then I took a break, and now I'm training again for Oman, and I did 65 last week, and then I'll increase by about 10%, so hopefully close to about 100 by the time the race comes. Hamdan also recommends I get plenty of training runs in with my backpack to get used to the weight of a heavy bag full of 5 days worth of food. But before I head out, I'm hoping he can give me something to look forward to that will help motivate me for the rest of my training. What was your favorite memory from doing the Oman Desert Marathon?
The achievement after this five stages, you don't accept it. Sometimes you feel, why I come here for this run?
I think every trail runner asks themselves that question. Why am I doing this? I suppose it's nice to know that no matter if you're from the US or Oman, you still have no idea why you do these things. Following Hamdan's advice, I got my 100-kilometer weekend while training in Girona before stopping back in Berlin, where I could finally pick up my Raidlight Fast Pack. Raidlight is a French outfitter that specializes in desert running, and they were kind enough to send me their 24-liter backpack, some gaiters, and a UPF 50 cap to help protect my pale derriere from the desert sun. I've been running with kettlebell weights in an old backpack, but just for shits and giggles, I want to at least get one training run in with a full race day pack. But first, I need to check in on Melanie, who's graciously volunteered to help organize my fuel.
I am preparing the race day fuel here, inspired by Jeff Peltier's Namibia race, breaking up the fuel by day and assumed number of hours it will take you and how many calories you consume. So here's your day one. We think it'll take you 5 hours, so we've prepared 1,960 calories of race day food.
Yummo.
This is separate from your meals that you'll have. So yeah, now I'm packing day 3, which is your big bag. And you can see here that day 3 will take, we think, you 6 hours. So you need 2,460 calories.
Her guess is as good as mine. So I toss it all in the pack and layer up for one last training run in Berlin. Coming close to about halfway through this run. Back feels good. Not too much pressure on my back, a little tight in the chest like I was concerned about, but when we get back I'll play around with the clothes I'll actually wear and loosening this up. But yeah, weight feels good and it just gets lighter after every stage. And on a scale of 1 to 10, Einstein, how ridiculous do I look wearing this, running around Berlin?
There are far more strange things being worn in Berlin than that. You are getting some good German stares though.
Stimmt, very true, on both points. With my last run behind me, there's not much else to do except, well, go to Oman. Welcome to Oman, one of the last sultanates in the world. The Sultan is essentially a king, but used in Muslim countries to convey religious significance. Although Islam is a state religion, their legal basic law prohibits discrimination based on religion, and proselytizing or criticizing someone's religion is a big no-no. Qaboos bin Said, the country's beloved sultan until his passing in 2020, is credited with modernizing Oman and granting freedom of religion in the country, financing the construction of churches and Hindu temples, which is a big deal when you consider the significant Indian Omani and immigration population. Today, Oman fancies itself the Switzerland of the Arabian Peninsula, a peaceful nation that minds its own business and takes care of its people. But where Switzerland is full of snow-capped mountains and forests, Oman's natural wonders are valleys or wadis, and, as I'll soon get to experience firsthand, remote desert landscapes marked by towering, rolling dunes. I start my Oman Desert Marathon in relative comfort with 3 bonus days in the capital, Muscat, traveling around the region with a couple of fellow masochists from England, Mo Abdeen and Lydia Oldham.
I'm Lydia. I love running stupid distances. Anything that's probably going to make you hurt a little bit. I started running about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I have done Race to the Stones, Race to the Kings, the Speed Project, solo. I love anything on trails, anything muddy, anything where I get to have a bit of an adventure.
Hi, my name is Mo, and I am a running coach / strength and conditioning coach from London. And I've been running for about 4 years now. I started running in lockdown because there was nothing else to do. And I really started to really enjoy it. And now I just try and see how far I can push myself and what the body's limits are, because one of my good friends says it is say yes to everything, because one day you won't be able to. So I just try and take every opportunity that I can and appreciate my body for what it can do for me.
I got into running because I was in a flat in London with 2 DJs. And we all loved to party, probably every single night. And I realized I couldn't keep that up. So I went on a run, and I guess I didn't stop running. I just carried on.
The difference between like ultras and like marathons or half marathons is, one, you'd like constantly try and get faster and faster in a shorter distance. And it is painful, but 2.5, 3 hours. Whereas this is a different kind of pain and a different kind of conversation you have to have with yourself when you're running 5, 6, 8+ hours, running into the night, running quite slowly, walking bits. It's a lot of mental and physical pain, but it's a completely different sport, and I think I am preferring running longer than running faster these days especially.
For now, all we have to do is walk. Issam Al-Balushi is an Omani tour guide and polyglot who speaks roughly a dozen languages. He takes us around some of the sights of Muscat, out along the Corniche where you can see the Sultan's yacht. As Mel Brooks once said in the cinematic classic Robin Hood Men in Tights, it's good to be the king. Or Sultan in this case.
This is basically the traditional souk of Mutra, and this is here the port of Mutra. Port of Mutra is one of the most strategic places in Oman, because when you talk about the past, you're talking about the Portuguese residents, and you're talking about the port that connects Oman to the world, because you're talking about the port that connects Oman to Asia, Europe, and Africa. And that's why this was like a transit point, and the products came from different countries, and that's why there was like importation and exportation in this place, and I mean a lot of communication with different international countries. One of them is Portugal, and another was Iran. And then in the port of Mutra, you see also the traditional dhows, which are the traditional boats that are built normally in the coastal city of Oman, Sur.
After wandering around the stirring corridors of the Mutra Souk, where shopkeepers are ready to haggle over traditional Omani gifts like frankincense, myrrh, and apparently a Che Guevara embroidered shawl, we hop into a nearby shop to try some Omani halwa.
It is basically the traditional sweet, which is basically demonstrated in our hospitality. Like every house you go, the first hospitality maybe is dates, and secondly is halwa. But halwa is always considered to be like of luxurious hospitality. So basically, if someone presents halwa, it means he's giving you more importance.
And with all this halwa right under my nose, I feel like the belle of the ball.
That's good. It's like jello-y, but good.
It's jello-y because sugar, water, and starch are the essential ingredients. From there, you can add some saffron, cardamom, rosewater, nuts, or dates. Alright, so far we've just been walking around inside the souk of Muscat, getting a little tour of the area, learning a little bit about the history, and thus far it's very quiet. They were saying that, you know, later at night it'll get a little bit busier, but for the most part, in terms of like souks and other places I've been similar to this has been very tranquilo, very calm, and I think it could be a nice introduction to anybody who wants to travel to this part of the world, but is maybe a little bit more intimidated by like the busy souks that I've seen in, say, Marrakesh, for example, in Morocco. That can get really busy. From the souk, we head up to the Mutra Fort, a place that touches on Oman's vast and varied history. Portuguese forces built the fort in the late 16th century during their occupation of Muscat, used to protect the city from Ottoman and tribal attacks. See, up until relatively recently, Muscat and the rest of Oman were at strong odds due to political, tribal, and geographical differences. It was the aforementioned Sultan Qaboos who put an end to internal divisions following the Cold War era Dhofar rebellion and shaped Oman as a unified nation, marking an end to communist influence in Oman and more strongly aligning the country with Western and Gulf allies. It makes that Che Guevara shawl all the more confusing, but I digress. For lunch, Isam takes us to Rozna. Here it's our first taste, no pun intended, of Oman's cuisine, a confluence of Indian and South Asian spices and samosas, Persian sweets, and mandazi from Zanzibar, all hinting at Oman's history of empire building, trade, and migration. Alright, I am back in my hotel room after a really wonderful morning and afternoon exploring Muscat and learning more about the city and the country. Even though I've been able to walk around a little bit, I feel like kind of just going on a short little run. So I'm going to run upstairs to the gym where I heard there's a treadmill. I also took a second to take all the food out of my backpack because I don't know why, but I was like paranoid that something would have happened on the flight, and like what if I just left all my food in my backpack and for whatever reason it exploded and I didn't open my backpack until like the night before the race. And again, the meals that I have with me were sent to me courtesy of Expedition Foods, as well as, you know, I've got my Precision Hydration. They were nice enough to give me a gift card to purchase some things, so I'll be starting every day, even the night before, I'll be taking a 1,500 milligram tablet to, you know, make sure I've got enough electrolytes and sodium in me before I start each stage. I'll end taking one of those, and I'll also take another one at the end of the day and just kind of repeat that process until the race is over. If it sounds like I'm nervous about the food, at least I'm not alone.
So food-wise is very different. I'm someone that loves real food, so there's not many gels in my pack. It's mainly jerky, freeze-dried food, like that sort of summit food, some like nut bars, some dates, which we picked up here. So yeah, anything that's real food I've got.
Marathons you run with 6, 7, 8 gels at most. That's not really heavy. Here I'm running with 4 or 5 days worth of food and a sleeping bag. So and in the desert. So 3 things that I've done to prepare for this is really train my gut to be able to like take on the amount of food that I'm probably going to have to be taking on. 2, I've run a lot on, well, I don't have sand in the UK, so I've run a lot on the treadmill, but in like layers. So I'd wear a hoodie, a jacket, and my pack to make sure that I'm accustoming 1 to the heat, and 2 to the kind of like weight I'll be carrying on me roughly throughout. And 3, I spent a lot of time in the sauna. I know research is still hit and miss, but I felt personally, just mentally, spending at least 15-20 minutes every single day in the sauna for the last month leading up to this meant when I did get here, I wasn't taken aback by the heat. I feel like once we're in the desert, it might be a different story. But like, you know, since we've been going around the city and like doing our touristy stuff, I haven't felt the heat as much, and I want to credit that to the sauna, but who knows, it might just be genetics.
Firmly on Omani time, I'm up early for the 90-minute drive out to Wadi Shab. Wadis are essentially canyons or valleys, sometimes full of fresh water and waterfalls. Wadi Shab is especially popular for its mix of easy hiking, while surrounded by dramatic cliffs and turquoise waters that offer a refreshing respite from the sizzling afternoon desert sun. We are here in Wadi Shab. Very beautiful surroundings so far. You're just like towering mountains on either side. And you don't have to do the hard part of climbing them, you just walk in between. Smart. It's a roughly 2-kilometer hike to this point where you can jump in and continue down the canyon to a waterfall hidden inside a cave of sorts. But I'll spare you the shots of me flailing about in the water like a gremlin and skip ahead to another fine lunch. And this time, Issam made sure to have some special vegetarian dishes just for me.
We have here some traditional food. Here we have mashed potato with green pepper with some carrot. I know I did not want you to suffer, so I felt like I should bring you something good, and I think that's one of the best meals we can ever have here, especially if you mixed up with the paratha.
Don't mind if I do. You might look at Oman and think, desert, desert, desert. But beyond the sand, Oman is known for its rich marine biodiversity, with coral reefs and even shipwrecks dotting the coastline in the Gulf of Oman. Dee Barwani spent years living and working throughout Southeast Asia as a scuba instructor. In her words, it was the easiest way to make money for alcohol.
I came back to Oman back in 2017, thereabout. It was by chance, really. I was told there was a job down south in Salalah, and I took it. And then when I got to Salalah, I was told that I was the only female. And so this is not something that's usual. Definitely not in our part of the region, because we have the Red Sea and we have Saudi and things like that. And there's so many women who are into diving, but not Oman for some reason. So I decided to open Aura Divers and sort of encourage women to come diving.
Dee takes us out from the Al Mouj Marina to Blacktip Reef in the Daminiyat Islands Marine Nature Reserve for a tri-dive. In other words, I'm apparently going scuba diving for the first time. Here's hoping I don't kill myself before the desert gets a shot at me. Thankfully, I managed to survive, but not without some literal hand-holding from Dee and her Iranian assistant, Roshanak Namazi. Back aboard the boat, we paused for a quick lunch and to learn a little bit more about the sleeping arrangements during the race from Richel, project manager with the Oman Desert Marathon.
Are they
Say
open
they will be
tents? Like
open.
open tents, they
They're
don't
big
close.
Bedouin tents, and they are closed.
To keep the stink out.
But
when I'm
you
walking.
can. It's good. The ventilation is really good. And then
Glad to hear
you open your arms with 10 people, you won't touch anybody. Like you won't be cramped.
I wasn't planning on touching anybody.
No, no, I know.
Kind of a race is this? Hello, neighbor. How's your race going?
After lunch, I'm eager to hop back in for the next best thing to scuba around here, snorkeling. On a lucky day, you can spot green turtles and black-tip sharks, which Dee promises are vegetarian. No such luck for me today, but regardless, milling about in the Gulf of Oman when my friends and family are hunkered down hiding from freezing temperatures does not suck. Good morning once again. This is my last morning here in Muscat, and I need to go to the ATM, but I figured I would kind of incorporate that into my last shakeout run before tomorrow's race. A little hiccup there, some butterflies. In less than 24 hours I'll be running in the desert, as I guess you do around here. But starting to sink in now. But I'm going to go do my last shakeout run, stop by the ATM, have one last little look at Muscat, and then I have to pack up and head back to the airport where we're going to meet the rest of the group to then go into the desert. I'm getting a bit spilkus about starting this thing, running through every possibility in my head like one of Tom Cruise's Minority Report precogs, but I'm at least in good company.
I'm quite nervous in the sense that I've never done any terrain like this before. So sand, heat, nothing. Even in TSP there was about 70k on sand, but I don't think it's the same sort of sand. So yeah, quite nervous, especially seeing as training has been in the wintertime in London. -4 coming to 25 degrees is a little bit of a jump scare.
So this will probably be the longest that I'm running in terms of a specific race in one go. So 165k is going to be very interesting, but it's like, I'm here for it. I'm here to challenge myself, and who knows what happens next. Maybe it's 165k a day for God knows how long, but we'll see.
First one, self-sufficient. I've done obviously stage races with TSP being there, but that was people giving me food. I didn't have to carry anything. I had pacers, hand and foot, doing whatever I needed. So this is complete opposite. And then obviously there's all of the survival kit, which is very new to me. I know I have a compass on my watch, but I have no idea how to use it. So I'm currently watching YouTube videos in case I get lost in the desert somewhere. And then there's the venom pump, which I told my mum about, and obviously she was like, what do you mean, a venom pump?
Honestly, it was something that I've never done before. Sand is terrain I've never run before. And like I said, I just want to say yes to everything while I can. Being on the other side of the country, running in 25, 30 degree heat, just sounded scary. And when something sounds scary, it's like, yeah, let me conquer that. Because the person you become on the other side of something like this, for me, you become a better version of yourself. And I think when you push yourself, when something challenges you, the way this, when the idea was proposed to me, challenged me, I was like, yeah, I have to do it because I'm kind of scared.
All right, sports fans, that's it. Shakeout run complete. And now, the next time I run, it will be in the desert for much longer. So we're here at the resort, and I can't help but look on Google Maps and notice that basically at the end of civilization, you go outside this resort, you start going past that road across the street. It's just desert. That's all we got ahead of us. But yeah, just trying to take the old deep breaths and get through the rest of the day. I'm sure I'm not gonna sleep a wink. Just eager to start this thing, you know? And I'm hardly the only one ready to get moving.
I feel excited. Yeah, I feel very, very excited. I don't want to go in overconfident and then be humbled on day one. But I feel like with the fuel I have and the electrolytes, and if I just pace myself, it doesn't seem out of my realm. Like, I'm not going in nervous, I'm not going in scared. The distance should be fine on the legs, and the heat should be fine. I'm excited, but I know it means I'd still have to pace myself, and I'd still have to like look after my body. I can't get a bit overzealous and like really gun it. So I know that there's gonna be pros at this. Just let them do their thing. Don't like compare myself, and just run the race at my own pace. I'm just really, really excited to take on an opportunity like this, and I think everyone, if they have the physical capacity, should really challenge themselves as much as possible. And this is a perfect way to start.
On the next episode, we set up for the starting line of the Oman Desert Marathon to run 42 kilometers and get our first taste of running in the sand.